Well, hello everyone, it's Kari from sunshineinmypocket.com. Thank you so much for joining me back on my channel. I'm excited to share with you this project today. Actually, I have a lot of projects to share using this new kit from Not Too Shabby Shop. I have shared one of their kits in the past. It's probably been about a year now, and every time I get one of these kits, I'm always surprised at how much comes in them. They're really, really awesome. So I thought I'd share with you today everything in this kit. First of all, you get these beautiful enamel dots. These are clear. They can be used on any background you want, and they just add a little bit of clear gloss. You also get a little treat in your kit, and here's the card to Not Too Shabby Shop. Check out the website when you get a chance. I'll also put a link to this kit in the video description below, so you can click on that to check it out as well. Let's start with the hummingbirds that come in this kit. There's a smaller 4x6 stamp set that comes in the kit. This is called Little Hello, and it's so cute with all those hummingbirds. I love the one that says it's the little things. Then you get an entire pack of ephemera. There's so much. Let me just move everything out of the way here so I can show you. But there's so much ephemera. Look at all these hummingbirds colored differently. There's some with flowers. There's plenty of different ones facing different directions, some leaves, smaller hummingbirds here, and then of course some sentiments and flowers come in this kit. The pink one here says, "Spread your wings and let your spirits soar." The green one here says, "The Lord is on my side, I will not fear." And then there's "Don't just fly, soar." And then also the larger one has a sentiment on it that says, "He covers the heavens with clouds, he prepares rain for the earth." So really beautiful sentiments, and look at all of these that you get. I mean, you could create a ton of cards just with those two things right there. But there's more. This is a larger stamp set. This is a 6x8, and this one is called Oh Honey. And look at all the cute little images you get. These are really fun to color. I'm going to color one of those up today. But you also get ephemera with some of these images as well, and they're already colored. So if you don't feel like coloring, you can simply put together a card using these. So look at all these little bees, the honey jar, that's one of my favorites. The little girl on a swing, there's some other ephemera little girls here colored in all different ways. Some flowers, little dogs dressed like a bee, aren't they cute? And more. There's also some smaller honey jars that come in this, and large and small bees. So I love that you get different sizes of everything. And then it also comes with this paper pad. This is a 6x6 paper pad. It's called Sweet Bees, and this was probably my favorite paper pad. Look at how beautiful this is. It's double-sided, so you get some polka dots, some bees, honeycombs, lots of different designs, and it's all in this color scheme that are my favorite colors. I loved this so much, and I can just imagine using these on a variety of things. So there's that. You also get another paper pad that's the Hummingbird Flutters paper pad. So there's some glittery paper here. There's some with hummingbirds and flowers, polka dots and designs and leaves, watercolor panels, which that one's my favorite, some other polka dots. Look at all the ones you get here. So much paper, so many cards you can create. But there's also a stencil. This is called the honeycomb or striped honeycomb background stencil. I'm going to use that again today as well. So look at all these things: a stencil, 2 paper packs, 2 ephemera packs, and 2 stamp sets, and some enamel dots. And don't forget the treat. I loved it. I absolutely love this. So today I'm making 5 cards to show you how easy and simple it is, and a bonus card at the end to share as well. For this first card, I'm going to cut down some of that paper that came in the Hummingbird Flutters set. This is the one that looks like watercolors, and it's that light green. It's so beautiful. I've chosen some flowers from the ephemera set and a hummingbird also from that ephemera set, and some leaves. And now I'm going to choose, I decided I wanted to stamp my sentiments. So these would work fine if you want to use these sentiments, But look at this one. This one in this stamp set says, "You are amazing." And I just love sending cards with that kind of a sentiment. So I'm going to stamp that, and I'm also going to stamp some background florals on there to build this card up just a little bit more. So this card will come together very quickly since we're using all that ephemera that's already colored. And I'm going to start by inking up some iced spruce distress ink for these flowers that came in that stamp set. I'm going to ink it up a couple of times. This is a beautiful gray. It's got some green, like a little bit of green look to it. So I think it really works with this background. And then I'll ink up the sentiment in black, and I'm going to stamp it a couple of times. So there's my first floral spray, and then I realized I needed to put this in a larger MISTI in order to stamp the other one. I tried to turn it over and then add my acrylic piece here so that I wouldn't get ink on, and I arranged it just how I wanted it, but then I realized this MISTI door was just a little too narrow in order to stamp that. Okay, so I moved everything over to my larger MISTI, and then I stamped that again with the same iced spruce color. Now it's just a matter of putting everything together on the card. I'm adding the hummingbird with some foam tape, and then I'm going to glue down some of these with liquid adhesive, and I'll also use foam tape to pop some of the front ones up. One of the tricks to using ephemera on your cards and making it look even more interesting is to use a lot of dimension. By using foam tape and making some of those pop right up off the card, it really gives it a lot of interest and it makes your card just that much more special. So I'm going to cut off the extra leaves off the edges here, and then we'll add that to a card base, and that's going to be our first card. Wouldn't you love to get a card that said "You are amazing" with a hummingbird and some flowers? I just think it's so beautiful. So there we go. Let's start on the second card now. I'm going to be using some of this paper from the Sweet Bees paper pad. I'm going to cut that down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Most of the cards we're making today are A2, so you'll see, but I'm going to use a lot of different paper for this. So I'll show you how to put together some papers in a really fun way. I'm going to use this yellow scallop and then also the rest of that polka dot, but it's just the back part of it, the other side. And then we'll use some of the ephemera from the ephemera kit and put this all together with a sentiment from the stamp set. This sentiment here says, "Being your friend is pure joy." Being your friend is pure joy. So isn't that cute? So I'm going to stamp that with black, and I might even heat emboss that. I can't remember if I did on this one or not. So let's put this together. I'm going to add that scalloped yellow piece to the polka dot piece. And then this one, this is how, I just want to make sure I have this long enough. Need to leave enough room for that sentiment. I'm going to mark where to cut that with my, I used a little pencil there just to make a mark so I knew right where to cut that. So that's about right there. And then we're going to pop that part up with some foam tape. So here again, we're using dimension, quite a bit of dimension on this card. Popping this up is really going to give that a fun look. Did you notice that I have my nails done to match? I couldn't resist. I loved the bees so much. In fact, as I was making these, I realized I'm making more bee cards than hummingbird cards. So I add another hummingbird card at the end there. All right, foam tape on this honey jar as well. And then for the dog, I need to add just some foam tape where his little face overlaps and his little tail. And the rest I'm going to glue down with liquid adhesive since that sentiment piece, the sentiment flag, is already popped up with foam tape. So there we go. Just going to add that there and attach that. Make sure that you can still read the sentiment. So I was really careful in my placement of this, adding a little extra liquid adhesive there. And you can still read that joy word right about there. So I'll put that on there, and then I'm also going to pop up the bee with some foam tape, just like that. And then we'll slide that flower underneath. But in order for it to fit, I need to cut a little bit off of the side here. So I'm going to use my scissors and just trim some of that. In fact, that whole leaf right there can go because it was just getting in the way. So I cut that off just like that. And then I'm going to need to cut a little bit off the other side as well, since it comes right off the edge. So I'll just trim that, and don't be afraid to alter your ephemera whenever you need to, because this is your card. Just make it work for you, right? You don't have to leave the ephemera exactly as it is. So I'll slip that underneath just like that, and we'll have that little sunflower. And then those pieces I cut off, we can use above that flower just to give it a little more interest with the flowers growing up a little bit taller and take up some of that room. I'll trim that other one, and look how cute those little yellow flowers are growing up. Really, really cute. So this was a fun, easy card to put together. There is kind of a lot going on with all of the designs, but one thing I love about these paper packs is all the papers match. They have the same color theme, the same look and feel, so you can create cards just like this using lots of different papers, and it's just really fun to do. I'm going to add some of those clear enamel dots to that card, and now let's move on to the next card. Now this one's also a really simple one, but we're going to start out with some stenciling, and I'm using a light yellow here, starting out with some lemon ink, and then I decided that was just a little too light for what I was going for. So after I inked on this first layer, I brought in some darker English mustard, yellow, and then I even brought in some distress ink in Wild Honey to give it more color, just in the center part. And then I faded that out to almost white around the edges. It's a really fun look to do, just to add a little bit. You don't have to ink up the entire panel with your stencil if you don't want to. I like having a spotlight right in the center. Now I'm going to go ahead and add this little girl on the honey jar here. That's one of the ephemera pieces already colored up. And I'll stamp on the stamp that says "Be Happy." Really, really cute. I'm also going to use that blue polka dot paper from the Sweet Bees paper pack, and I'm going to heat emboss the "Be Happy." That way we're not going to get any smearing. I'll go ahead and funnel that back into the jar, and then we're ready to put this all together. I decided it needed a little bit more for this card, so I'm cutting down a black panel just a little bit larger than this stenciled panel, and that's going to give it even more of a dimensional look. With all those frames, it's so pretty. So I'll add all that together and then use some foam tape on that girl once again. Very, very cute. All I have to do now is add that to the card base, and this simple card is done. So easy with the contents of this kit to make the cutest, easiest cards. I love it. Now I had this really cute detail from Scrappy Tales Crafts. I'm going to use this on this card. There are some yellow pearls and lime green pearls, and they're the perfect finishing touch for this card. There's also some little flowers in there that I think would be cute on one of the hummingbird cards. For this one, I'm just using the pearls. And there's another card done. All right, let's move on to the next card. What card is this? Is this the fourth card? I did die cut the letters H and I out of a alpha die that I had, and I'm going to layer those up 3 times with some white cardstock, and then I'm going to add some gold cardstock right on top. So this is a really nice dimensional sentiment in gold. It's a really easy way to build up your sentiments there. And then I'm using some more of the paper from the paper pack. I adore this paper. I couldn't stop using it. In fact, I can't wait to make more. But I thought this video was getting long enough, and so I kept it at 5 cards for you today. I'm using some of the black scraps that I cut off that black card or the black cardstock from the card before. And this is basically how this card is going to come together. Of course, I used foam tape again on the bee, and that hive was already dimensional. And I cut this down just so those black strips would fit. And then there's a white border around the entire card panel. Those black stripes just mimic the stripes on the bee. So there's our next card. Look how fast. All right, this is the last card. And this one I am using the stamp set entirely. And I'm going to color this up for you and do some ink blending. Now this is a layered look. So what I need to do is stamp the stamp that's in the frontmost part of the card. And then I'm going to mask that off, and then I'm going to stamp that swing on there as well. So I'm going to start first with the things that are in the frontmost part of the card and ink those on. I'm using one of my favorite Copic friendly inks, but you're going to see I got a little frustrated with this ink for my ink blending. I'm actually in search of a black Copic friendly ink that also works with ink blending. I used oxide inks with this and I forget sometimes. Now that's masking paper right there, by the way. So I cut that out with my scissors. I just fussy cut that, and now I'm masking off all of the images so that I can stamp the swing. So anyway, if you have any suggestions for a black Copic friendly ink that also works with ink blending and it doesn't smear, send those suggestions my way because I'm in search of. All right, I'm going to stamp on that swing now, and I'll ink it up a couple of times, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss the sentiment part only. I didn't heat emboss the entire image because I wanted to Copic color that, and usually I don't like to heat emboss when I'm Copic coloring. So that's why I left the rest just as it is. So I've got my Distress Oxides. I'm going to ink on some greens and then some yellows, oranges, pinks, all the way up to red. And there's where it starts smearing, right there. Do you see that? So I took my sand eraser and I tried to erase most of that smearing, but you're going to see in the final end result of my card, I did have some leftover smearing. So I'm not too excited about that. But I kept going because I've already worked really hard on this card. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fix it as much as I can, and then I'm going to use a technique that I like to call distraction. And I'll show you what I mean when I finish this card. I've got some nice distraction pieces coming. So I'm finishing up the ink blending here, and my favorite part of all is the reveal. Before I remove the masking magic, I'm going to add some water splatters just using this Distress sprayer. This is going to add some small and some large water droplets. It's hard to see in the video, but there are quite a few water droplets there. And now, here's my favorite part. Watch as I peel off all of these masks, and you're going to see the beautiful image below. It's going to be ready to color. Look at that. It's a really fun background, an easy background to do. I did use some of those leaves from the ephemera pack, and you'll see how I'm going to put this all together. So I'm going to start with using the browns and color up the rope on the swing. And I realized I wanted that to be in front of her little hands there, so I'm going to go ahead and just draw that part on and then color up the swing using some brown inks. This is really easy to do. Just follow the lines that are already on that swing using your darkest Copic marker, and then blend that out with the lighter Copic marker, the medium one, and then go over all of it with the lightest one. So that's all I did here. It's so simple to get the look, and I went over it one more time to darken it up, which I do most often in my Copic coloring. And see, look how this just transforms that swing. So easy. There we go. I did go over that one more time, and now I'm going to color up her face. I'm using pretty much the same browns here. I think I pulled in one darker brown. I'm using my favorite E57s once again on this card, and I'm taking my time. This little girl is so fun to color. She has a larger amount to color, so it's really fun for ink blending. It's good for practice. I left most of the Copic coloring of her face and her hair in this video because I get a lot of requests to leave that in. So I decided, even though this video was a little bit longer, that if I didn't leave that in, I might get some comments. Not really great comments saying, why didn't you leave that in? So here you go. If you don't want to see this part, you can skip to the end to see all of the cards finished. But look how I just do this. I start with the darkest, blend it out with midtones, and blend it even more with lights. I added a little bit of blush to her cheeks as well. Using a light pink, usually I go for the R81 for that, and blending that through with the rest of the colors. For her hair, I'm going to start out with some dark neutral grays. This is the N9, and I'll go in with some N7, and then I've got some purples there too, because usually when you have black hair, you have an undertone color, sometimes purple, blue, you can use grays as well. So I'm using all of them. And this is a fun coloring technique. I'm basically outlining most of the lines here with that one. Then I'm going to blend them out a little bit with the N7. And then it's going to look like a hot mess for a minute, but don't get scared, because I want to lay down kind of a base for this curly hair, and then I'm going to add some more curls on top. So this is the N7 right here, and then I'm going to go in with some purples. So I've got 3 purples off to the side there. I'm going to start in with the darkest purple. This is BV17. I'm going to start blending that out even more, and then I'm adding the BV13, and the lightest is going to be an N3 that I go over all of that. Now this looks a little bit weird right now, but that's when I go back in with the darker grays and the darker purples, and I start adding some curly cues. Now I'm going really fast here, but look how they're just like curls, like really quick little curlies, almost like little C's going in both directions. And I go over that with the BV17 also, and all the way down through all of the colors again, and you're going to get a really great curly hair girl. So cute. So that's why I left this in. I wanted to show you that even when your coloring starts out a little crazy, just keep at it. Keep at it, because it's going to turn out cute if you keep going. Or hopefully it does, like it did for me here. And then I'm going to add some black Copic multi-liner here over her eye and her eyebrows to get them a little bit darker. And I finished off with some yellows, and the wings are blues. I'm using some press and seal to place those leaves on the top. So it looks like she's swinging from a little tree here. I'll just peel that off, and then I'm going to cut off all the excess, and I will cut down this panel just a little bit as well. So I waited for that to dry just a minute before I cut this off, and then we're going to get our card here. So as you can see on this kit, you can spend as much time or as little time as you want using all the contents in the kit. If you like to color, there are plenty of options for coloring. If you don't feel like coloring, there's lots of options for not coloring. I'm finishing with my distraction method here, using some gold pearls and putting those, kind of scattering those about. I think I have 5 or 7 of them here that I'm just trying to distract from a little bit of that muddiness that came from the smearing. And it turned out great. So if you ever get that and you can't erase it all completely with your sand eraser, then try the distraction technique. You can use sequins, you can use dots of or pops of color or Nuvo drops, anything you want, and that will work out great. Let's take a look at all the cards we have so far that I made with you today, and then I'm going to show you my bonus card that I made off screen. I decided I needed to make another hummingbird card. This time I colored the hummingbirds using a no line coloring technique. But there's all the cards we made so far with all the products in the kit. And with this set, I used the paper pad from the Hummingbird Flutter set, and I created this box card where the hummingbirds just kind of fly up over those flowers from this kit or from the stamp set. I used that stamp that says "It's the little things" on the very front. I know it's hard to read here. And then I'm going to use up the rest of those dots. After I used these clear dots, I realized you could use this leftover piece here as the acetate to raise up those hummingbirds, but I really love this extra thick acetate from Heffy Doodle. I love it because it's so sturdy for when you want to add things that fly up above your cards. So I added that to the 2 hummingbirds and to one of those yellow flowers up front so that they would land or fly above. Here's all the bee cards I made, and I realized I need to kind of zoom out of my camera. I will do that in a minute. And then here's the hummingbird cards. So there's 6 cards total. I hope you enjoyed these card processes today using mostly just contents from the kit. I did bring in some alpha dyes and some inks and a few little pearls, but mostly it's the kit, and it's a really amazing one. So I will link it, as I mentioned, below, so you can check that out if you want to. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well. I'll be sharing lots more paper crafting inspiration, and I've got some new fun things coming soon to share, brand new. So I can't wait. Until then, happy crafting. I'll be back soon with more inspiration. See you then. Bye-bye.